Sometimes when you live in a small desert town, you may feel like nothing ever happens. However, for one city in New Mexico, they would have an unforgettable experience that would change the town forever. This is Unreal Encounters. Welcome to Season 2 of Unreal Encounters, where we examine the mysterious and the unexplained and discuss possible theories about what may be happening. I'm joined here today by Josh and Lindsay again.
Hello.
Hello again.
We're talking about Roswell, so UFO crash. So this season of Unreal Encounters, we're talking about aliens, different alien encounters. I guess first thing, because it's the season starter, do either of you believe in aliens? What extent do you believe aliens are out there? Have they visited us? Just get that out of the way right off the bat.
I'm not close to the idea of life outside of Earth, but I don't think that it's in the form that we imagine it in our pop culture.
I kind of agree with the same thing.
Hey, but it's fun to talk about.
I feel like if we're going to talk about aliens and alien races, it doesn't necessarily have to be humanish. It could be any number of different things that are living civilizations or living creatures on other planets. But I believe there could be something. I'm not saying that's not possible.
All right. Well, cool. I myself, I guess, for me, I'm sort of there's definitely probably something out there because there's so many planets. How could there not be?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, did they make it here? No, we'll see. I don't know. The space is a pretty vast
It's a big universe.
expanse to cross.
If we're alone, that's so sad.
The year was 1947, and America was just beginning the Cold War with the Soviet Union. Tensions were high, and military secrecy was top priority in the United States. During all this chaos, a civilian pilot named Kenneth Arnold claimed to have seen what would come to be known as a flying saucer. After this initial sighting, there were approximately 800 more sightings after the first reported sighting. During this craze of flying saucer sightings, something would happen that would change how people thought about a small New Mexico town. In late June of that year, a rancher named W.W. Mac Brazel was walking out in his field when he came across a crash site. The debris appeared to be some kind of metallic substance and possibly wood beams and rubber-like materials. Not knowing what to make of it, Brazel piled up the debris and went home. It wasn't until he went into the town and heard people talk about flying discs that he reported the find to local law enforcement. One of the fascinating ones with Roswell is it's such a prolific one, and I just think it's interesting that it started and the farmer packed up the remains of whatever crashed in the field and was like, I don't know what this is, was put him under a bush, and then people were like, oh, there's UFOs around, and so he's like, oh man, maybe I should report this.
Well, it's interesting because I knew that Roswell was kind of like a hot spot for UFO sightings and like big, kind of touristy these days. But I wasn't familiar with like the history of like why it was so popular and like why it, got the reputation that it did. So it's kind of funny that it just started with a dude on his farm. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, seriously. What's in my backyard? I have no idea. Let's go find out. Let's tell the cops about it. Wait, what?
What do we do? After the materials were reported, the military moved in to recover the materials. They took it back to their base, and the material was then sent to higher-ranking members of the military to investigate it. After the analysis, the military released its official report. The debris was the remnants of a weather balloon. After this report, the story of what crashed at Roswell disappeared into the pages of history. That was until 1978. Major Marcel, who was the first to look at the debris at Roswell, went on record with a UFO researcher named Stanton Friedman. This interview contradicted many of the details first released back in 1947. He claimed that the idea that it was simply a weather balloon was not true. He claimed the materials were much more advanced than what was reported to the media. This interview was picked up by National Enquirer and became national news. Was there a cover-up at Roswell?
It's always so much later when people are coming out and being like, actually... Like, we saw that with the cryptids, It's like 50, 60 somewhat years later, and they're just like, actually, here's what really happened.
Here's what we thought at the time and what it seemed like, but that's not what happened.
Here's what was put out to the public. Like, this is, don't want to cause mass hysteria because of an alien spaceship flying into Earth. But I don't know. I mean, Maybe he was just grasping his moment in the spotlight.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. What do you think of the idea of cover-up military-wise? Because the one thing that people did point out is that the government came in real quick and scooped up everything that was out in the field and ran off with it. And so people were like, why did they do that if it was just a simple weather balloon?
Well, yeah.
I was going to say, first thing on that, when does the government do anything quick? That's my first question.
When there's a cover-up, normally.
Apparently.
When they're like, we can't let anybody see this, we got to get this now.
Yep. But the other thing is the guy who ended up saying, hey, I worked on it, I looked at it, I don't know if it actually was a weather balloon. I question, like, okay, well then why didn't you tell us sooner? Yeah. If it was a cover-up, he could have feared for his life, he could have feared for his career, who knows?
Yeah.
So then that would make sense why it'd be later on he'd say, can't do anything to me now.
Yeah.
It's true.
And be like, all right, well, this is what it was. This is what I saw.
Yeah. I don't actually know how old he was at this point.
Yeah.
Like, if he was kind of like, I'm on my way out, might as well be like, hey, I saw something weird.
You know, if it even is a cover-up, like, it could still not be related at all to aliens. Like, it could have been, like, you know, a government experiment or, like, some sort of new tech that they were, you know, trying out that, you know, went awry, crashed into this farmer's, you know, backyard, and they wanted to go retrieve it quickly because, you know, they didn't want it to get out, you know, they didn't, they wanted to save their prototype or whatever, I don't know.
In the 1980s, a book was written titled The Roswell Incident, the authors of which had also written books on the Bermuda Triangle. This book looked at the facts around Roswell and posited the idea that an alien craft were traveling over Roswell to look at nuclear weapons, and either were shot down or crashed. The proof of these claims lie in the fact that the government took the materials away. They also had several secondhand stories of people who saw the materials and claimed they were not of this world. This book was also the first time alien bodies were mentioned in relation to Roswell. They claimed to have stories that aliens were picked up from the crash site and that autopsies were performed in the military base. In 1995, footage claiming to be from the military base was released by Ray Santini. This footage seemed to prove that there were in fact alien bodies from Roswell. This seemed to be the evidence that we needed that Roswell was indeed a spacecraft.
Well, I see one major flaw.
And what is?
The fact that this farmer dude is like, hey, there's this thing in my backyard. And then they're like, great, we're going to go pick that up real quick. But apparently they took aliens from it earlier and left the debris? What?
But Farmer Jones didn't see the alien bodies?
Maybe the alien bodies flew out and crashed like a couple miles away.
They were ejected from the craft.
Yeah, they flew out of the craft as it hit the ground.
They weren't wearing their safety bar on the yeah.
I guess anything could happen, but I'm like, if the government got the aliens, wouldn't they have picked up the debris? Why would they leave some farmer dude? Oh yeah, he'll figure it out.
Then they got a report later and they're like,
sure we'll
we
get a
better
call.
go pick the rest of it up.
Yep.
Maybe it was a piece there like, oh, we didn't get it all. I told you we left some of it there.
Maybe like a wing broke off and that's what landed in the farmer's yard.
Oh, yeah. But if it's a saucer, does it have a wing?
A piece of the saucer.
A piece of the pie.
A piece of the pie. A little pie piece broke off.
There's a perfect
and
section.
splatted.
Just whoop.
Yeah, just a little triangle of it.
Who knows? Maybe it's actually sectioned into little pie pieces for individual compartments
like
for either
Trivial
living
Pursuit.
quarters or...
A Trivial Pursuit UFO. Oh no. With this video and other eyewitness accounts, many started to believe that the cover-up at Roswell may have been an alien spacecraft. However, the story lost its footing in 2006 when Ray, the person who showed the alien autopsy to the world, admitted he fabricated the footage. He did, however, claim it was a recreation of the original footage that has since been lost. So, I mean, you're kind of spot on. The fact that we have alien bodies this late in the game.
Convenient.
1980, so like 50 years since, or like 40 years.
40 years, yeah.
From the crash. Mm-hmm. There's alien bodies, there's a video that comes out, and then this guy's like, oh, I faked it. But it was a recreation of the real video that I had.
But that's gone.
But that video's gone, but I recreated it. I was...
Convenient.
That's...
Ray.
Just...
If that is your real name.
I think it is.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of like, this dude, why would you do that? Why would you be like, yeah, this is what we did. Oh, actually, this isn't what we did. But it's similar to what we did. But you don't have to know that, and now my whole argument's out the window.
Even with a circus around the video evidence, many still claim that what crashed at Roswell was in fact an alien spacecraft. But was there possibly an explanation for it? After all the speculation and excitement around Roswell, the US government finally released what they claimed to be the cover-up surrounding Roswell. The government had indeed hidden the crash materials, but not because it was an alien spacecraft, but because it was their own top-secret Project Mogul. Project Mogul was an advanced nuclear detection system made up of massive balloons. They were designed to sit at high altitudes above the Soviet Union and pick up radiation so that the US could stay one step ahead of their Cold War rivals. One of these top-secret balloons had crashed down in the Rancher's Field, where it was found and eventually salvaged.
Top secret prototype that you have to recover because you don't want everybody to find out about it and freak out.
Yep.
I was right.
It's not aliens. They're like, by the way, not aliens. This was our fault. Sorry.
Hey, there we go. Now the Cold War's over. We can talk about it.
Now we can admit that we did some sketchy shiz, and that's
Yes.
normal. For the Cold War.
Apparently we're still using balloons to spy on each other, apparently.
Oh,
Humanity never changes.
They never change.
surprised we didn't upgrade to just satellites.
Yeah,
probably
that's
did.
kind of the thing that I think we do.
Yeah.
I know some people also do still point to the fact they're like, well, what if the government's still covering it up? What if this is another cover-up in the cover-up?
Cover up Inception.
Which just, it does get a little ridiculous. And this season's a little weird, but also like some of these, and like we had it last season with the Kraken, where there's not really theories because it's like,
It's actually a thing.
you're like, well, maybe this, like there is actually a very solid explanation for it. So it's like saying there's theories kind of feels like cheapening it. Whereas some of the episodes of the season, we will have plenty of theories because we have like, what the heck was that? But
Yep.
for this one, it's kind of hard to say one way or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, you could still believe it is a UFO, but to me, all of the stuff, it starts with that, in like 1940, with just like the dude being like, oh, this is weird debris, I'll
what
just
is this?
keep it, and then the government scoops it up and takes it away. You know, prime Cold War, like everything where you're like, hey, World War II just ended, we're doing all these like secret projects. It's like, we can't be letting these things slide. And it's not until like the 80s that there's alien bodies, and it's like, whoa, alien, like, wait, where did all this information come from that was released way back when? So with this one, I felt theories weren't as solid because it's like there's so much circus around all the evidence of aliens as part of this one. But I don't know, what do you think?
Aliens are real and the government is lying.
That's a big swing from the start of this episode. All right, well, you heard it here first,
Yes.
is what it is.
Like they say in X-Files, I want to believe.
I want to get one of those posters back here.
Just put it back there, yeah.
The Cold War was a time of secrecy and lies, and as such there are many unknowns that came out in this time. What we may think is one thing may be something else entirely. Something that may seem otherworldly may just be the latest technology being used to keep us safe. Or just maybe, it is from beyond this world. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you can be notified next time an episode of this or anything else that we're doing in the future comes out. And we will see you in the next video. Stay curious.
You heard it here first, and you heard it here back, 60 years ago. Or 80? How many years ago?
What do you
Roswell.